Hello, Noblerig here. Let's do the gold accents, the rose gold accents this time. Alright, check out my lovely grounded fairies, spelled with ending with a Z, on Webtoons. Now here's the ratio size of the gold versus the rose, but let's put that aside. I think maybe what you should keep in mind, because that might be too much, is that you need to have 8 parts rose and 1 part gold, metallic gold. This is the 2 clay colors I use mixed together. Now let's start with the emblem on her chest. It's basically a shield shape. You start with a big picture shape and then work down toward the details. Keep in mind I'm keeping a reference picture off screen here that I'm looking at to make sure that I'm matching the image of Paimon, the Genshin Impact character. Here I'm drawing in the holes that I need to cut out in the design. This Triforce light design. This clay some clay requires you to use water to keep it from sticking, but actually if water tends to get absorbed by this particular, I do not know if it's the enzymes or the pigments or whatever. I don't know what makes this gold color sticky when it gets wet, so I'm using something else to keep it from sticking, as you'll see a couple other things, as you'll see later on in the video. There's that dot, spot in the middle. Alright, so that's the trident design, whatever you want to call it. Now let's do that thing under it, that shape under it. And it's big picture shape, it's main shape. It's a half circle. So let's cut that out of a very thin piece of rose gold. Trimming it down to size and shape. Keeping in mind how the image looks off screen, the picture that I have on my computer of Paimon, the one you've seen at the beginning of the video. That's my reference. Alright, let's get into place. You start with the big picture and you go down to the details. Don't start with the details first. Get the big picture in place first. In this case, it was a half circle shape. Notice I'm cutting a straight line here where a curved line should be, but I'm working on it. I took too much from that one, so let's flatten it out a little bit there. Take some more from the bottom and move it up. From the bottom and move it up to there, so that shape will be the same size as the one opposite it. Rose gold. You could probably just go with rose itself. As I was saying at the beginning, you may not want to make a lot of this. Depends on how. Even though she has a lot of rose gold on her uniform, it's not a big volume. So just make sure you have 8 parts rose clay and 1 part gold. You might just forget the gold altogether if you want to. The rose looks good. Rose looks like a nice color to use. But I thought I'd put some metallic gold into it as well. Into the mix. Now I'm using paper here because to some degree it will not stick to paper. And I can draw on it too. And I'm eyeing it, of course. This is the basic shape of the designs that are on her side. Or sides, plural. Now I'm putting this in the freezer for a moment, and then I'll take it out and you can see it's a little absorbed into the paper, and the moisture of it was, or rather the oils of it was. The reason why I froze it is because I thought that it would make it easier to cut. Keep it from being deformed. I'm not so sure that worked out quite like I imagined it would. As you'll see later in this video, I will do the same thing, but I won't freeze it the next time. But the idea was to keep it stiff so that it would not lose its shape as I cut it with the scissors. And again, I'm working big picture down to the details. I'm not going to cut this whole shape out. I'm just going to get down to the basic shape. In fact, that little polywog shape that's loose in this drawing will get cut off. And I'll make it separately. I'm not going to cut out the part in between there, the small parts. See, I left that in there, and the holes in the middle. Alright, now that's two pieces there, excuse me. So let's separate them. And after I get them on the figure, we'll refine the shapes, get the details right. I'm having a little trouble separating this. Got paper in between and paper on the outsides as well. One side so I can draw on it, and the other side so it will not stick to the mat. Get paper all around. Gently taking it all apart and putting it on her side. And you might notice it's a little moisture. That's a baby oil. Baby oil helps the clay to stick to the body. So usually you use water to keep it from sticking and oil to make it stick. But in this case I'm using oil to make it stick, which still works. But the water tends to get absorbed by this particular color of polymer clay. So I'm not using water so much this time. So I got both the main shapes on. I've got to cut the holes out in them and put that little polywog shape just above each of them, or both of them. Here I'm working on the diamond shape, just starting with a hole first. I'm going to shape it into diamond shape. Oh, focus camera, focus. Just working on those diamond shapes. Kind of like a half diamond shape, is roundish at the top. Those negative shapes. Negative shapes is, for example, the white in that trident insignia. Positive shapes would be the rose gold. Cut out the negative. Here I'm drawing a positive shape, the rose gold polywogs. Often when you're copying something, you want to be mindful of the negative shapes as well as the main shape of the object you're trying to copy. The negative shapes are the air basically around the body of the image that you're copying. Alright, let's get that polywog up there. I might be saying it too frequently, but be sure to look at your reference every now and again. Make sure you get things where they should be. There's the one on the left side, her left side. Alright. Now, I've got a couple more, maybe 3 more, maybe 4 more. This is probably the most detailed part of her design, or her overall design. Now, I made some cloth. It's polymer clay, of course. And I made it go up on her leg there. I'm cutting out the designs in that stockings. Or stocking, singular. One goes up higher than the other on her right leg. The left leg, it doesn't go up as high. She has design features which are not doesn't have really good symmetry. Oh, I mean, it's designed that way. It's good to look at, but it's not symmetrical. It wasn't meant to be. Some parts are, though. Of course, like our shoes. One shoe matches the other. And some design features on her body, some of the gold features, are mirror images of each other, but they're catacornered from one another, not exactly symmetrical from one another, even though they are mirror images of one another. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. Shoes! That's how they came out. That one will stick in the stand that I will have for her. We're making another feature, and here I didn't freeze it, and I'm going to just fold it all inside of paper. So I'll have 2 layers of rose gold, and I'm going to draw, or I have just drawn the design. Now the design is a mirror of one another, so cutting them out like this, I'll have 2 copies that are identical to one another, which is what I need. And just notice I'm going to big picture down to details. I'm not getting into the details too quick. Trimming off the negative shapes, the paper that isn't part of the design, cutting that away. Is that what Michelangelo said? I just took away everything that wasn't David, the David statue. So you're cutting out the negative shapes. Here I'm getting down to some details. I'm using my X-Acto knife because it's much sharper than my handy-dandy pocket knife. I thought it would cut through the paper and the clay much more easily, being that it is a sharp blade. And I'm not cutting all of this out. I'm going to do some of it on the body. I'm getting the main idea down first. Let's take away the paper, and let's get that open. I'm going to cut where it's connected right here with my X-Acto knife. I think X-Acto is a name brand, so no kickbacks here. It's just a type of knife I'm using. Alright. They're not what you call these. I should call these floral designs, floral patterns. But you got 2 that are mirror images of one another by cutting them out that way. Now they're catty-cornered, as you recall me saying. This one's kind of toward the front of the body, whereas the other one that is opposite it on the other side of the body will be toward the back, tilted toward the back, rotated toward the back. Let's get rid of the extra material here. Alright. Shape it. It's not hugging the body completely. Let's get the top part off of the body. Get the leaflets, or the leaf shapes curled away from the body. There we go. And notice how that one's toward the front. This part right here is toward the back a little bit. They're catty-cornered from one another. Alright, she's coming together. Quite a bit to go. I think we're like halfway there with the gold accents. The rose gold accents. Alright, this is the thing that goes on her calves. Not exactly the top of boots, because there are other. This is like the middle of a boot, if you count the stockings as being part of a boot. Okay, this is another group of designs. This is for the sleeve. I did some experimenting until I got the right shape for a flat cut out of this, which will go around her not so flat arm, her 3-dimensional sleeves. So I did some experimental drawings before I got it right. Some experimental cutouts too. Cut out of the clay. Alright, let's just take all that apart, get the paper out of there, get my shapes out of there that I made. These are going to be the sleeves. And again, I'm not cutting out these circles. I'll eye those later, the little cutouts. Just get the main shape. Now I'm going to cut those circles out, now that I got them on the sleeve. There we go. Clean her up a little bit. I found it was difficult to hold her without messing things up, so I'm holding her chest and her back more than any other part of her, and the little spike out at the bottom of her foot. I'm holding those places more than any other. Keep from messing everything else up. Get those curled up right. Not laying down. Not really. It's not a really hard curve. It's a sloping, subtle curve on her sleeves. Slip up. Those leaf shapes slip up subtly. All right. I didn't show the sides of her legs there. I got those in there. They're basically just half circles, and I just, with my knife, made the patterns in there. Those half circles on her leg. All right. This was the rose gold accents. I like that color. Well, there she is. I guess we next have to make her head. She's getting there. She's nearly done. Alright, catch me next time as I make the rest of her. Or at least just the face. Check back next time to see what we do next. Thanks for watching.